Hey everyone, welcome to the ZBrush podcast. If you've been liking and following our content, whether it's on iTunes on the podcast app or on our Pixologic YouTube channel, we greatly appreciate all of you tuning in. And don't forget to like and subscribe, give us a comment or some feedback. This would be very beneficial to help us continue to make the podcast grow, as well as ZBrush Live. And thanks to all of you that have done so already. We've got another episode coming to you from the ZBrush Summit in 2017, if you've been following along, and we have more to come. This episode is with a special guest, ZBrush artist and digital sculptor, Joe Menna. He is a leading digital sculptor working in the toys and collectibles industry, and he was one of the first digital sculptors in the business, working alongside companies like Sideshow Collectibles, 3D Systems, DC Collectibles, Dark Horse Comics, Diamond Select Toys. The list goes on and on. So if you're interested in getting into the toys and collectibles industry, or if you'd like to just know more about the process and how an artist like Joe creates these things, he will be talking about what it's like to get into an industry like this and how to succeed. So we hope you enjoy this podcast and you find it inspirational as always with Joe Menna. You know, we were just talking about it. We met at SIGGRAPH, what was that, 2012?
Something like that.
Around that era. You came and did a presentation for us. You were very humble, very gracious, super cool dude from the start. You've been that way ever since.
It's very kind of you to say that. I mean, I love you guys, you know. You guys have always treated me like family, and it's been nothing but a great experience ever since the very beginning. I'm just very grateful for it. So I don't take it for granted. It means a lot to me.
Well, we're grateful to have you as a part of the ZBrush Club, because you're one of the most talented sculptors I've ever seen. That's something I wanted to talk to you about today. I mean, we're here at the summit. You've been coming this is 3 years now for you in a row.
This is only my second
year. Okay, so you came last year for the first time.
Yeah.
And you come and you watch all the presentations. You got a ton of, friends and people here that are in LA, but you're on the East Coast.
Yeah, and the other thing it is, I think facilitates that is, just I do a lot of nonsense on Facebook with videos or just postings and whatnot, and I have a lot of friends on Facebook and followers, and like when I come out here, like people will be like, "Yo, dude, you're the guy from the Facebook video thing," or this,
which is you're doing like live streams on Facebook.
Yeah, it's
once a week. Was it once a week or every day?
It's
or
impromptu. It started off as an educational tutorial series, and then it just kind of evolved or devolved into like a blog type thing. So I don't do it as frequently as I used to.
Yeah.
It doesn't have as large an audience as it used to, but the people that do kind of tune in are kind of my core group of Facebook friends that we just swap war stories, and it's cool. And then I also do live interviews. I've interviewed Sir Richard Taylor.
That's right. You were just telling me about that.
Yeah.
Which, gosh, what a cool dude. We were just talking about how awesome he is, and we were fortunate to have him on yesterday. And you had him. He was gracious enough to come on it was a Facebook interview.
Yeah, it was incredible. I'm
so
scheduled to interview Mr. Neville Page, which is great. It was very kind. I want to go back and say it was very kind of you to say that you dig my work. You know.
Oh man.
I rolled my eyes when you said it because I'm like, oh, come on,
you
man.
always roll it off, but you got to know.
No, I just want to say appreciate it, man. It really,
yeah, of course.
I love you guys, and it's just awesome. I did the Sculpt-Off last year. I got my ass kicked, but I still.
How was that experience for you? I'm curious because
exhilarating.
Is it?
It's awesome.
Yeah.
And I would do it again in a heartbeat, even if I got my ass kicked again.
We got to have you on.
It was awesome.
It's good to have, because there's usually a range of experienced sculptors, and I think you have just a very natural. I mean, this is something. You've been doing this for how long? I mean, traditionally and digitally, 20 years. It's hard to quantify, right?
About 30 years now.
Wow,
29 years.
Yeah. This, it's something that Cesar DeCall Jr. was in the Sculpt-Off this year, and some of the guys, they're nervous. I mean, they're still early stages in their career, so rightfully so. It's a huge honor to be there, and there's a lot of it seems that there's a lot at stake because you're going up for competition. But Cesar comes in, he's super chill, super calm. He's just I'm going to do my thing, and he's comfortable, And I imagine for you just kind of go in there and it's just probably an enjoyable experience for you.
Yeah, I had a
just to
great
be
time. And you know, I enjoy the summit in general. I look at ZBrush as something that unites us as a family of artists.
there. Hmm.
It's a single piece of software, and yet you have film people, video game people, collectibles people, designers, you know, automotive, whatever it might be. And we're all bound by this usage of this software. And then we also all coincidentally or not so coincidentally have common interests in, you know, certain types of films, certain types of, you know, comics or whatever it is, video games, these different genres that we're all fans of.
Yeah.
Because they're disciplines that we work in, they also unite us. There's cross-pollination between like all of our different disciplines.
Yeah.
So I think it's just this huge family of artists that I really feel that way. I feel like it's a fraternal and like there's a brotherhood and sisterhood of artists in this game that I wouldn't want to work in any other business because of these bonds that I have with all these people. And it's all because of this product that you guys made.
Yeah. It's something I feel like we talk about on the podcast a lot is, I mentioned this is too, the same, what you just said is there's this culture that this community that is, it seems very different. Michael and I were just talking about this the other day. It seems very different than other artistic cultures, other artistic communities where we're one of those very few where we're very willing to share and be open and we're in constant communication. There's a lot of love in that community. I think because we're all so similar in these ways, we share these common interests and we're all kind of students of art and sculpture and we look to all the same things, but we're all looking for inspiration. And it's so cool to have, I mean, coming to the summit is always a huge reminder of that, to see these people in person that come here from all over the place that share these things, and you can find something in yourself and everybody, you know, you can relate to these people.
I don't want to knock any other aspect of the arts, but I have some tangential experience, say, in the fine art world. And, you know, because I participated in some gallery stuff a couple years ago. And years before that, that's all I did. But, you know, I won't say, like, there's different types of, like in the New York gallery kind of scene or the fine art scene, there is a certain type of snobbery that I think permeates that particular aspect of the arts. And then there's the lowbrow pop surrealist scene, like Juxtapose Magazine, High Fructose Magazine. Right. That's like way cooler. It's a lot closer to like our scene and the kind of quote unquote regular gallery scene.
Do you find that to be similar to the CG world as far as
yes and no? But even then, there's still like a kind of like, if you tell people that like you're a commercial artist or you work in like, you know, I mean, maybe I think comic artists are better received, but I noticed every once in a while there'd be a little bit of a turning up the nose at the notion that like, oh yeah, I work digitally and I was a, you know, toy sculptor.
Yeah.
So, but in this world, man, I'm fully embraced. I'm fully at home. And
that's good to hear.
This is our tribe.
Yeah. Do you, that's that topic of discussion.
And I don't want to sound paranoid. It could have been just me, you know.
I'm sure that it's there.
I get insecure, so, you know.
We all see it though. You know, that's not, you're not the first person to say that, and you're not the first person to have experienced that. I mean, I see it all over the place, but you know, for you, I would imagine it's challenging in that sense where you come from that background. I mean, you've been classically trained. I believe you went to a Russian institute for sculpture.
Oh, yeah.
What was the name of it?
It was the Mukin Institute. Now it's called like the Stieglitz Russian State Institute.
Yeah.
I don't know, but
that sort of that type of art or that way of thinking about sculpture in our world is not as widely known, because now you have these new generations of people coming up where they're learning solely through digital tools. And it's something that I feel very fortunate to have classically trained artists like yourself that are so down to earth and have accepted this way of life. Having people like you in this industry is, I feel very blessed, because I think it's important for us
very
to,
kind of you.
yeah, and it's deservedly so. I mean, you continue to kind of help be that inspiration for those of us who didn't have the opportunity to grow up in that.
You call me old again?
No, well, it's not old, you know. I don't mean that. You got me there. I can't backpedal on that one, but I would take that. I mean that as the highest compliment.
I know, I appreciate it,
because we need those things.
Tell you what, it's like I studied with a Russian professor for like 6 years while I was in college and graduate school, and even after that. And then I wanted to go to school. He went to school, so I saved up money, worked as a waiter in Manhattan for 2 years, went there and did it. Got married, had a kid, came home, and learned an awful lot about sculpture and drawing. Worked in a fine art foundry making life-size sculptures for like 8 years. And then I started doing toys in 2005. But It was like, you know, I'm still using some other software.
Yeah.
I'm using ZBrush a little bit. You know, I don't know, this is 1 point whatever was out.
Yeah, that would be a 1.5 or 2.
Yeah, you know, and I'm messing around with it. I was in contact with you guys a little bit, and it was, you know, started getting my models shown on ZBC, and it was cool. Then I started doing more toy work. Kept growing.
Mm-hmm.
But where I was going, where I meant to go with this is, had the classical training that informed what I did. But I'm finding now that to an extent, it also hurt the way I worked, because I wasn't open-minded to learning CG ways of working.
I see.
So I'm sculpting stuff in pose.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pain in the ass, man.
Yeah.
You know, especially when you're trying to put I gotta keep this G-rated, right? But especially when
you're fine.
Especially trying to put a goddamn costume on something. You know? I mean, I don't mean gauntlets that can be symmetrical and then you just pop one on one on the other.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you know, stuff that has seams and has to be UV mapped and texture mapped and all that crazy stuff. It's just like really painful when something's like, you know, dynamically posed and
absolutely,
and it's all like dynameshed and irregular and all, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, but I always worked in pose because it felt more like real sculpture. But now I'm starting to learn that I need to take a base mesh.
Yeah.
You know, need to T-pose it. Whether I feel like whether it's counterintuitive or not. I need to like know how to like, you know, work symmetrically and then pose stuff, and it's like I'm just learning to exploit the power of CG and really the power of ZBrush. Now there's other directions that like I might go in, other software supplements to ZBrush. It could be helpful, but I still think that ZBrush is the main and best solution to all of these formal problems in making sculpture digitally, just because it's growing exponentially more powerful with ZModeler, with the deformer tool set, with the Gizmo. That alone is like incredible.
What did you? Okay, but let me ask you this, because I'm still a huge fan of the transpose tool. I prefer the transpose tool for 90% of the things that I do when it comes to organic sculpting. Yeah, Gizmo's awesome. It's great it's great to move things around, to reorient things. But when it comes to just, you know, you want to mask off the arm, do a little rotation and bending, I'm all about transpose. Do you still use it? Or are you kind of transitioning?
I'll use transpose a little bit for that. Like I'm still using transpose for fingers. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. Like you can't beat it because, you know, it fits. You line it up with your knuckles, it becomes a joint. And then you get those secondary controls where you can extend it to the finger and then use the middle one just to bend this portion.
But then I had one friend that was telling me about a workflow of using is there a twist deformer?
Yeah, there is.
To pronate or supinate an arm?
To get, exactly.
So that's something I want to fool around with. But I like the Gizmo for like doing knees, you know, doing elbows. It really depends on the application.
Yeah,
I also like it for placing keys.
Yes, for sure.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I'll make one key, and then I can place it. They use the same key for every other split in my figure with live booleans, and scale it and duplicate it and scale it and duplicate it and scale it and duplicate it.
Yeah.
Move it all over the figure. And I'm like golden.
How much of an effect has that had using live booleans now instead of Dynamesh to do your keying for your articulation?
I'm not going to lie. I used to do my articulation and keying in another program.
Oh, that totally makes sense.
Yeah.
And you're not the only one. Dynamesh works very well in some situations.
It still gets kind of, it gets a little fuzzy, you know, with the kind of meshes that I need, you know, because toys have to be, well, I'm sure video games and films do too. Well, video games and films don't need to be split up. But for toys, they need to be really precise.
Absolutely. You're dealing with scale and things that you would require you to go somewhere else in those situations.
But sometimes I'll still use other programs just to close up some, like, there was one case where I made this pair of shorts and they didn't meet in the middle of the crotch. So I had to go into this other program and build this stuff around it that I couldn't build in ZModel. Or maybe I could have taken a sphere and then maybe trim polish it. But I need absolute planar precision for certain things.
Yeah. So
it's like I'll still use some other. I still will use another application 2 or 3% of the time, whereas I used to use it like maybe like 60 or 70% of the time. It's radical. It's a paradigm shift for me.
Yeah, I can imagine. So now you do use live booleans for these things.
100%.
Yeah.
Except for 98%. I still use the other application for scaling. Like I'm not familiar with Scale Master.
Yeah.
And I'm not really familiar with what is it?
The calipers.
STL. I'm not familiar with the calipers. I'm not familiar with the STL export stuff. But I have another program where I just pop the OBJs that I started in ZBrush in there, and like, bang, I can scale them up to like 1.5673 whatever millimeters.
Yeah.
And then export that as STLs and OBJs. And when I export my files, just to be safe, there's one little tip for people who want to do sculpting for toys. When you export your files, no matter what the dimensions are, they're usually millimeters, even if you sculpt them in inches.
That seems to be the standard.
Export a 1-inch scale cube.
Oh yeah, I do that a ton. I do. That's how I measure everything. I bring those in from Maya, and I'll have like every stage, and just sometimes I use that for transpose just to set.
No, but I mean export it to your customer.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So then that way they have it as a reference point in case you screwed up the scale or press centimeters by accident or whatever, man.
That's a good tip.
Like, yeah. I mean, it's not a big deal. People probably already do it. But
but some people don't know. You have
to be so precise with this stuff. I was just watching the XM Studios presentation here at the ZBrush Summit, and it was fascinating to see how much of their workflow was similar and where they did things that I could learn about. Like the way they did hair was really interesting.
Yeah. I didn't see it. What did they do?
They were using frame mesh to create curves.
Oh, I see.
On curve tube type deals, but it was a custom tapering. It was a custom curve type brush.
Yeah.
And then they were using curve mesh. I mean, frame mesh to generate curves all along the edge loops of the linear edge loops along that curve, and then popping on another IMM brush or I never know whether I'm saying
insert mesh or IMM.
Yeah, I never.
Yeah, I know. It gets a little chaotic.
They're popping an insert mesh brush for the hair again on that, and then getting all this detail stuff all over the.
Right, they're doing insert curve meshes where you take a piece and you're stringing that along a curve. Right,
really cool.
It's such a cool technique. Like that was just like when we introduced the insert curve stuff, the insert brushes, all that. Just being able to go into the stroke settings, use the size option to taper from large to small.
I'm not really good at that yet. I have to learn.
Yeah, I mean, there's little small things, but it's just changing that setting. You're literally taking a curve and you got a thick strip that goes down to a point. And just being able to move that curve around, like for stylized characters, that's like you're 80% there.
For me doing hair, I was always doing like Fill tries.
Oh,
or fill polish.
Yeah. That's a great.
So I'm using that to draw out hair.
I like that.
You know what I mean?
That's because you're drawing. You're basically it's creating that geo, and you can warp it.
Making the whole thing, and that's what I use to draw my bases for the hair.
Right, I could see that being really good if you're doing you got a female superhero or something that's got like a lot of flow.
Yeah, it's pretty effective.
Just get that.
And then what I do is I dynamesh them, and then I go and I use Trim Dynamic to bevel all the corners of it,
right?
And then it looks really good.
That's cool. I also love that you're going in, and I just love. I mean, again, that's just that classical training, but you're getting in there with that's my favorite thing about sculpting in ZBrush is just I like to do personally. I choose to do handwork. I don't want to use anything to like dynamesh with clay polish. I try not to do that. I try to do it by hand as much as possible. I get more satisfaction out of it, I think.
My biggest cheat though for stylized stuff, I love using clay polish.
Oh sure, and
not
don't
the
get
brush, the feature clay polish.
Yes, just clicking the clay.
Where it makes
polish,
the edges go nuts and everything, or they'll smooth over a little bit too.
Yep,
I've used that so many times.
That's such a good one. That's a tip. I always show that to my students, like maybe like week 4 when we're getting into Dynamesh, and they're like, "Oh, like turning on polish." I turn on polish for Dynamesh, and then I go up to clay polish, push up the sharpness slider to maybe 8, 9, 10.
Yeah.
And every time you read Dynamesh after sculpting, it's taking all that stuff you filled in from clay buildup or carving it with dam standard, and it just accentuates those edges in a way that it makes stylized go, wow. It's like Blizzard style, all those like harsh, sharp edges. It's awesome for that.
My typical workflow is like I use clay buildup brush, dam standard brush, Trim Dynamic. I use the rake brush, believe it or not.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
Do like surface texturing? Well, because if anybody's seen your drawings,
to go around the form, Yeah, just like the drawings.
You do a lot of you etching. It's cross hatching in a way for shading and just laying in some secondary forms and shapes.
If you look at I'm not Michelangelo. I'm not saying that kind of anything like that. But if you look at the way that the stone carvers go around the form, it's very similar. I think it's bullshit to use a rake on clay and leave the rake marks on purpose to get a textural effect. I was taught in Russia that was a superficial applique. That was like a surface effect, Now, if you're just raking away and the rake marks are there because that's a byproduct of your actual raking, that's cool. That's whatever it is.
Right, but
if you're doing it purposely just to make a surface effect, that was considered superficial, and people turn their noses up at that at the Russian Academy big time.
I think that's wrong because that's sort of like you're intentionally trying to make it seem like it's rough and textured from through the process of using the tools for what they're meant to be.
Like when Rodin left stuff on the surface, it was because he was about his process.
Yeah,
and he wasn't about he didn't care about hiding it. Pieces of armature sticking out or things like that. I don't know how often he used a rake tool, a rake in any way. But when I used to sculpt clay in Russia, man, I would sculpt with both hands at once doing a portrait, and that's the big advantage that Russia gave me. Aside from just having was young and I felt expansive and I'd been in contact with this great thing. Yeah. And then I came back, and as the burden of survival started to become a bigger reality over the years, that sense of expansiveness has become compressed. Right. But now again, I think with my love of working and love of ZBrush and love of sculpting, it's coming back again. Yeah. But one of the cool things about Russia was that, I was just saying, because when I used to, I don't mean to go off on that tangent. No. I used to sculpt with two hands at once, and it was now I'm starting to get that back in ZBrush,
That's cool.
But also it was but one of the things that it gave me was being able to sculpt portraits and stuff. I couldn't really sculpt portraits for here. And I just never had the right kind of teacher, the right kind of approach. It's not just about copying at all. Yeah. And then when I went to Russia, I learned how to sculpt portraits. And then in my professional career, where I used to work at a foundry, I sculpted tons of life-size portraits. And in the collectibles industry, I haven't sculpted a lot, but I've sculpted enough portraits that I feel I've had an opportunity to be, I'm not saying I'm good at them, but I'd say like they've been successful. Like I did a Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman portrait. Granted, she had the mask on, but if I hadn't gone to Russia, I wouldn't have been able to do that.
Right.
I did a Ron Perlman,
Oh yeah,
Clay Morrow
that one's
from
awesome.
Sons of Anarchy. Thanks, man.
Love it.
But that was for my buddy Jerry Macaluso's company, Pop Culture Collectibles. That was a great opportunity. But you know, ZBrush just totally changed my life. I owe my living to ZBrush.
Well, dude, that's so cool to hear that you're kind of getting that. It's kind of reinvigorating that. It's almost like I think of it as that. It's society kind of forces us into that. Like as a child in your youth, you kind of don't see the truths of the world, and the world is your oyster in that way. And then the harsh realities of just survival, making money, living in the world, and having a career in this field, trying to make your way. That's what kind of takes that away. And it can be a burden in times, but it's very cool to hear that this is just, you're so happy and you're enjoying this stuff and you get to do this stuff every day. You know, like that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I mean, if I was making a living sculpting in clay, you know, ZBrush is the equivalent of that clay. This is not an endorsement of ZBrush, just like a product. Not that I'm a celebrity, I don't mean like that, but I mean like I'm not saying, hey, here's Z.
Yeah.
Saying, it's just reality, man. I couldn't do my job without it, and
that's so awesome to hear, man. Dude, that's amazing. It really is. And for you, I mean, you're doing tons of stuff that you can't talk about, obviously. But the things that you're mentioning right now, you Catwoman, Ron Perlman, you do tons of toys and collectibles. You started in 2005, and you're doing all kinds of stuff. I mean, I feel like it's sometimes it seems to be a lot of pop culture driven. There's a lot of superheroes, a lot of comic book style stuff.
I've been really lucky to work with DC Comics. Have been like really great to me over the years. I worked with McFarlane Toys. They were wonderful. I worked with early on. I worked with Hasbro. They were great.
Mm-hmm.
I did a little bit of work for Mattel. I did a teeny bit of work for Disney at one point. But I did work for Diamond Select Toys. They're great to me. Sideshow Collectibles have been like ridiculously awesome to me, just like DC and Diamond and Dark. I've yet to have a bad experience. That I've had bad experiences, but I've yet to have the kind of experience that would deter me from working in the industry further. Let's say. You know, I mean, some companies are a little bit weird.
Sure.
But that's the same in any industry.
Absolutely.
You know,
it is, and you find your way. You find which ones work for you and which ones don't.
Yeah.
You know?
And if things don't work out, it usually doesn't work out in a friendly way.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no animosity or whatever.
Yeah.
You just don't get hired by that company again. And I'm cool with that. It is what it is. I don't harbor any hard feelings towards any companies that I may have had any issues with.
Yeah.
But I could count on maybe 2 fingers, you know, the number of companies that I had any kind of confusion with, let's say, not even like falling out.
Yeah, because a lot of times, in most of these cases, I see toy companies, there's a lot of freelance happening. They're dealing with a lot of artists in different places just because of just the sheer amount of things that they're making all the time and constantly in production. It's hard to house a bunch of artists for all these companies. So they'll usually have their primaries, but then, you know, people like you come in and pretty much help them save the day and get all these big projects out. And you're kind of able to bounce between these two.
Well,
and I don't know, the toy industry, what is that like? I mean, you've been doing this since 2005. Is there any particular reason why you don't, because I could see you going into film, conceptual design, creating. Neville Page works with directors and creates characters. Is there a reason why you stay in toys and you choose to?
Yeah, just because I'm pretty well grounded where I live. We have a nice house. I have a beautiful family. I have a beautiful wife. My wife's got her career. She's a tattoo artist.
That's awesome.
My wife's a tattoo artist in Philadelphia. At the Philadelphia Tattoo Collective, the best tattoo shop in Philly. And
Philadelphia Tattoo Collective?
Yeah. They're in Fishtown.
Okay.
Which is an area of Philly. But and my kids are all in school and everything's great. I have one in college. We're very grounded.
Yeah.
And the thing is that like I'm one of the first. This is not bragging. This is just a fact. One of the earliest digital guys in the statue business. Period. I had guys scoffing at me who are now working, doing statues themselves.
Mm-hmm.
That'll never work out. That's all bull.
Yeah.
And it was like, I was using a combination of one outside program in ZBrush. ZBrush I was primarily using for like pinch, for like smooth, for like different things. And the other program I was using to model stuff up.
Yeah.
And then like, block things in. But the first digital statue I did some digital work for Hasbro, but they were doing toys already digitally. But the first thing I ever did was back in 2006, 2005, I started working like with Hasbro. And didn't really have anything come out to 2006, 2007. But 2006 and 7 was when I started working for a guy named Randy Bowen. And he gave me the opportunity to do the first digital statue that his company ever produced. Randy was the producer of Marvel comic statues, period. He was the guy. He was the most prolific.
This was big. This is when
he was huge, man.
Some of these other companies weren't around. In those
days. Randy's one of the pioneers of the industry.
Yeah.
So Randy started hiring me, and then I got work from DC Direct, now DC Collectibles. And they had only done a couple pieces digitally. Olaf Hartvigsen and a guy named, everybody knows, a legendary sculptor named Colby Jukes, who had done some stuff for the Dark Knight first film. And no, the second one, the one with the Joker, Heath Ledger.
Dark Knight. Batman Begins, Dark Knight.
Oh, Dark Knight. He had done some Dark Knight stuff. And Olaf Hartvigsen had done some other just regular Batman stuff. So, I got in with DC, and that was cool. And then it just progressed geometrically from there.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of shocked that in general, Giant, they were doing a ton of digital stuff, and maybe Sideshow was doing some at the time. I don't know.
Yeah.
But by and large, I'm definitely one of the first guys out there. I don't say that bragging, but I say that with pride. Because,
it takes a lot to jump into when especially when software and technology is changing. There's always a push and pull from the old ways to the new ways. And the people I've talked to a few people this weekend about that, jumping into something new. It takes a lot of courage and just you're taking a chance, and you're being open-minded enough. You were open-minded enough to say, I'm going to go into this. Nobody else is willing to do it, and everybody's telling me no. That's crazy.
When Randy offered me the opportunity to do this Mephisto character, he was talking traditionally, and I was like, hey, let's do it digitally.
Yeah. So you introduced that idea.
And he's like, oh, maybe that'd be cool.
Yeah.
So I sculpted it. The action figures, they were the pain in the ass because I didn't know how the joints and shit worked.
Yeah.
So I had difficulty with that. Working with Hasbro, stuff would lock up. I'd sculpt the whole figure and it would be totally frozen. They'd print it and they'd work on it again and again. They were very patient with me.
Yeah.
I did the first Iron Man movie's villain called the Ironmonger.
That's awesome.
I did that. That was my first toy.
That was your first project?
Yeah, that's my
with
first
Randy
toy
Bowen?
ever. No, with Hasbro.
With Hasbro, okay.
And that, I guess showing Randy that convinced him that I could do something digitally. But when I did this thing for Randy, I knew how to do the splits intuitively because I'd done like at least 100 life-size figures and made molds on like half of them and Roman joints and all kinds of stuff like that. I knew how to do all the splits on a figure on a life-size scale. So doing them like small was like nothing.
1/8 scale or whatever.
Yeah, it's like nothing to it,
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't even do splits much differently now than I did them, 10, 12 years ago. But forget the name of the machine. I know the name of the machine.
It's fine. There's so many now.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep track.
So I had to have it printed in 3 different ways. And then because the printing envelopes were so small, I had to build it up like bricks. So there were all seam lines going through his chest, going through his arms. I had to putty those all out.
Wow.
And then I sent it to a guy named Adam Smith to make the mold on it for me. Then I had to still work on that. And Randy wanted to see a few more hand changes, but not many.
Yeah.
So that was cool, man. That was still... I still get people coming up to me saying like they dig that piece, and
that's awesome, man. That's like one of your early pieces.
Yeah, comic book statue collectors are pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And you know what else is weird? Having like, now I'm 47, right? I feel like I'm in my prime. I feel great. I don't give a shit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mean it like that. But like at this summit, I'm not bragging or anything like that. But like, I had at least, this gets me choked up. I had like 5 kids, young men come up to me and say, "Are you Joe Menna?" I say, "I just want to shake your hand." I'm like, what the heck is this, man? This is awesome.
It's so wild for you to go to experience that, to have these people come
I'm
up.
like, they're like, "I love your work. Your work is beautiful." And I thought I'm gonna start crying.
Yeah.
Well, like, I'm like,
well, you're so gracious, and
I get a
really
reputation for being like, I'm a self-deprecating guy. I'm kind of like low key. Maybe I'm putting it out here because we're doing a video. I'm pimping myself or whatever.
You
but
don't mean
pretty
it that
much, I'm pretty low. Like, I mean, it got me like really worked up, man, because it was just like, I'm sure guys like Raf Grassetti and Furio Tedeschi, they get it all the time, you know. Like, I'm just like some guy from Jersey. And these kids who were on the other side of the country, or they weren't even from this country, actually, some of them.
Yeah.
They were like, you know, "I'm so proud to meet you." This one kid was like, "Can I introduce you to my friend? He really wants to meet you." And he's like, "I love your work. I love your work."
Yeah.
I was like, wow. And that wouldn't be happening to me without you guys, man.
Well, that's beautiful. It really is. That's very beautiful. It's you're just one of those people I've liked the moment I met you, because you're that humble. And I think the respect is due because of that. You're one of those people. Yeah. You're one of those people that you've been doing it for so long. Like you just said, you're one of the first people to start doing this. And it's really, I asked you the question about going into production, going into concept design, whatever. But I actually have great respect for the fact that you stuck with toys.
I love toys, man.
You really have a true passion for comic books and that those types of stories and those characters. So it makes sense why you're able to keep going through this going into this.
I see my friends like Furio and Justin Fields and doing concept work and doing production stuff, and that's awesome. I do think it's very attractive. I love making toys, and it's like, well,
and not to cut you off, but I think for somebody coming from the practical sculptural world, being like the tangibility of holding something, we're surrounded by all these student sculptures here from Noman, like the texture of it and touching it and holding it for what you do. I think it also makes sense that you have sort of a love for, Richard Taylor mentioned this too, is that you can't describe if you've never you take something from that hard, cold, 2-dimensional screen, and it can only do so much for you. But having it as a 3-dimensional piece, something you can go and see your products in a store, that's some kind of validation, I would think.
Yeah, it feels great.
Like it makes it that much more worth it.
The other thing I really love about it is I've been at it for a while, right? And sometimes you kind of rest on your laurels. I don't mean career achievements. I just mean your ability to use the software.
Mm-hmm.
And then the software changes. This place, Noman is pumping out genius level talent on a daily basis. And the competition becomes thicker and thicker. And then, I see people like a masterful sculptor, wonderful human being, James Marsano, who came from this school, and he's my friend, a good friend. I see Daniel Bell, another brilliant sculptor from Brazil.
Yeah,
I believe
tons of great talent from Brazil.
Or is he from Argentina? He's from Brazil.
Yeah, I can't.
I shouldn't offend him by not remembering, but he I met him at Comic-Con and we hung out for a while. We hung out a couple times, and he's just the sweetest guy in the world. But I'm just saying that here's these younger guys with so many more skills with the software than I have.
Yeah.
And for me, it's inspiring because it makes me just want to learn more.
Yeah.
I don't look at it as like, oh, I better. It's more like, oh, look at he's doing. How the hell did he do that? And it's just like, then I get on YouTube and this and that, and it's I think there's a vitality to there's a forced vitality to use this software and using this software it forces one to remain vital and active and growing at a constant rate.
Yeah.
Or not constant. There's nothing. Even flowers and trees don't grow at a constant rate.
They don't. But sometimes I wish that they did.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes I wish that it was constant. This is something that I had hoped to achieve with this podcast is, you know, I feel that there's a responsibility for us in this 3D world. We've been talking about the community and how great it is. But as we see in every aspect of society, every industry, it's in our very nature as humans to continue to want to grow and thrive and expand. And we've kind of put ourselves in this place now, at least in American society, of just exponential growth almost. And we don't stop. And a lot of times we don't stop and take a minute to just look at what we have and what we have achieved and appreciate those things. And something I hope, at least in our community, because we're at this really great point right now where you kind of have this great mix of traditional and practical, and everybody's very appreciative of each other and sharing. I don't want that to go away. And this is a life lesson that I think often we forget because we just continue to push and push and push. But just your attitude alone, just having that appreciation for knowing that you're continuing to learn always, that you're always a student of art and student of sculpture, and you're trying to find new ways to enhance your workflows and just enjoy the process, you know. And something I get hung up on a ton is that, you know, as I see I teach a lot, and I see tons of students and I was one of those people. You're just very eager to get up there and you want to be in the limelight. You want to, now artists are getting celebrity in a way in our sector where you have these top tier names and everybody wants to be these people. But I think it's also important to remember that it's still an art form, and it's not just about the fame and you know, getting the business card or getting the portfolio that's, you know, getting on top row is a wonderful thing. But I think it's important also to maintain kind of what your demeanor and your appreciation for that, you know?
Yeah, and I think it's about relationships too. I mean, one of the things I like most about it, maybe the thing I like most about it, like coming to the summit. All right, San Diego Comic-Con, always going to love it. It's awesome. But it's like overwhelming. This is very intimate. It's very cool. But look, I've gotten to become friends with all you guys. And then I got to become friends with, like, you know, through Facebook, people like Chris Costa and other, you know, brilliant artists. And then in person because of the summit, Furio.
Sure.
You know, Justin Goby Fields.
Yeah.
I mean, guys who are just like way out of my league, man, but treat me like a peer, man. And maybe they don't think about themselves as out of my league, you know, because I'm not. Saying, I'm saying that they just treat me like a peer, and that makes me feel so good. So many great artists who I admire, so many great artists who I love, and just totally worship, man.
Yeah.
You come here and they treat you like an equal, and it's just like.
Well, and maybe it's the way it's the way that you look at. I mean, it's the way that the self-deprecation, the way that you view yourself. You're very hard on yourself, but in reality, man, you're there with them. But it's great that you at least. I think that's what keeps you humble. I think that's why you're such an awesome dude. And
that's nice of you to say. I think humility is essential.
I truly mean it, and I think you're right. I think it is because these guys, you know, they. And granted, everybody you just named, I think they're all very humble and very, very cool and honest people.
I don't know, like Aaron Biner, Dominic Queck.
Yeah.
All these guys, man, they're just like, they're as cool as they could possibly be.
Yeah.
And then I met like this guy who I think is maybe one of the best sculptors I've ever seen, and he's only been doing it for 3 years, James Kane.
Oh, yeah. I've seen his
talent.
Work. Yeah, absolutely.
What a
I love his stuff.
Yeah, it's just beautiful.
I know.
What a freaking talent.
I'm a big fan.
I mean, I wouldn't have the opportunity to, and we're instant mutual friends, you know, instantly friends. Where else would I have the opportunity to foment these relationships and meet these people? And it's just like, this thing that you guys are doing with this summit is just magical. I'm sure that Trojan horses, a unicorn thing is great, and there's one really cool one in Poland that just took place.
I don't know that one. What's it called?
I forget what it was called. I saw it on Facebook. Saw a bunch of people going there. It looked incredible.
Yeah.
But, you know, this in particular is just
it is. I mean,
special thing.
It is, absolutely. I agree. I mean, you know, for me, being here, you know, I
And
work
it's a
for
tribute to
Pixologic.
it's a tribute to, I don't mean to interrupt you, but
No,
it's a tribute
finish.
to the culture of your company.
Yeah.
From Ofair to Jaime, all the way down. There is a culture of embracing the users
Yeah.
that no other company that I've ever seen does.
Yeah.
No other company, man.
Yeah. I think about that all the time. I don't know. It stems from the top. Absolutely. And I think that, as we've continued to grow and expand our team, that it was kind of, that kind of becomes like one of the major guidelines that, if you want to work for us, you got to have this, you got to be like this. You got to have this passion. You got to be able to connect with these people that are essentially you guys are our spokespeople, and you represent ZBrush, and you guys are, you're the faces of it. Really, we just make the stuff, and we hope that you guys enjoy it and love it. And it's kind of like, it's just this continuing, perpetual thing that keeps kind of feeding into this whole greater purpose. I think is just this awesome culture and this love for it that I think in a time, especially in today's world, we need it. Everything is becoming so. It's just more and more and more do, make, and then like for what? At what point do we stop and go?
Yeah.
And for me, it's like I look at all this stuff, and it's not just about entertainment. It's about experiencing something and going on this life's journey that I'm doing something that no matter what, I might have struggles at work, I might have stress, but I know that I love this and I love what I do. It makes it all worth it, And like, not everybody can say that they're in that same position, like it's a lot of people that get forced into careers and have to do things that they don't necessarily love, and we love this.
Yeah, I'm a busy person, but I wouldn't want to be anyone else, anyone else, anywhere else doing anything else. I mean, maybe I'd be making more money as a concept artist, living in Hollywood and doing some crazy stuff, or all that, whatever, maybe even more glamorous and have like nice clothes and a nice car, but like I'm really, we live in a little town that's like Mayberry. It's less than 1 square mile, and
wow,
it's beautiful, man. It's like
that's great.
Life is great and everything's cool, and
I like that. And
I'm really happy with doing what I'm doing. I'm not saying like we're like, shivering without shoes in the wintertime. Everything's fine, man.
Yeah.
I take care of business. Everything's
as it
fine.
should be. I mean, you've paid your dues. You've been doing this long enough where you deserve to be in a position
but
like
I just don't need, maybe there's glamour. I'm almost 50, man. When am I going to come out here and start my life over? And
yeah, no, you're in a good place, man. I like that.
I've never been attracted to this stuff out here.
It's a lot. It can be overwhelming at times. There's a lot
and I don't
parts.
dismiss it. I admire it.
Yeah.
Just like I admire, professional athletes and stuff like that. I'm not a sports guy, but I admire, just the way I admire real surfers, even though I suck at it.
Well, you can we talk about this all the time. I feel like every time we catch up, it's like, you've been getting out and surfing. There was a good year where I was out all the time, but I'm probably where you're at now, where I've run out of time for those things.
Went out surfing once this summer.
Did you?
Sucked, yeah.
Well,
I mean, it was great, but it was only one day.
It's tough, man. I mean, at least you're keeping up. You go to the gym, I'm sure. You keep up with your fitness, which surfing is so much about that. It's just like being in shape for surfing. Paddling it's exhausting.
Paddling, I'm cool with. But popping up, I'm not. I'm so
stupid but it's fun. You take a break. I'm sure that's a good thing for you to do.
I would need like a good. It was a really rough day. I would need just a good moderate day. Little bit of white water, I'd pick it right back up. Man,
we talk about it all the time, but I gotta take you out. There's a great place down south, Sano. I just need 2 days. 2 days. This I'll tell you about it off air, but it's a great spot.
Yeah. Maybe I'll stay a little longer next year.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. So, as we're winding down here, I don't want to take too much of your time, and we got tons more presentations, but what's going on for you right now? As far as you're still doing your freelance. You got any new projects coming out that you want to touch on?
I can't talk about anything specifically. I'm just continuing to work with my usual battery of clients. And I've got some exciting projects at radically different scales coming out, respectively, for different companies. And got some stuff coming out for a new company that I've never done for them before that I'm excited about. I mean, I've got some new stuff coming out for a company I've worked for many years.
Yeah.
It's totally different from anything I've ever done before that I'm excited about. and had some conversations here with Hasbro and Disney.
Yeah.
That was really they were really productive talks. One was just socially, and one was specifically here at the review.
Mm-hmm.
But the Hasbro people are like, "Hey, Joe," and like,
yeah.
So if I can fit that in my schedule as well, that would be cool too. But I don't know. I don't want to overtax myself.
Sure,
and I don't want to overpromise. That's one last piece of advice I give to other people in the business. Never overpromise and never overextend yourself. Because once you bullshit your clients into thinking you could do more than you can do, and you don't deliver on time, you're just going to burn bridges that you will never be able to build back again.
That's really good advice. Yeah, because it is, there's only so many. It's still relatively small in comparison to other markets. So
everybody knows everybody.
Everybody knows everybody. It's important to maintain that respect, and I agree with you. Like, that's good advice. Don't overpromise and don't burn yourself out.
Yeah, I know a lot of toy sculptors because I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
No, I know a ton of toy sculptors that are jaded or say stuff about the industry and this and that. I'm telling you, man, toy industry. People talk about it crashing, imploding, that it's going downhill, and this and that. I think it's all bullshit.
Yeah,
I love this business. I love every second of it. I love the deadlines. I love the opportunity to sculpt these characters. I love being a part of it. I love having a little time off to do my side work, my own work,
Yeah.
And
that's awesome, man.
I feel like I've been given a gift, man. So I don't take it for granted.
Well, that's very respectable. I appreciate it, man. Like, you're a cool dude.
Thanks,
Joe Menna. I'm glad to be friends with you, and I think all of our listeners you're a great inspiration for all of us. So keep doing what you're doing, man, and all those projects. You're on Facebook a ton. Are you on ArtStation yet?
Oh yeah.
Okay, you're on ArtStation. You're on ZBC. You got stuff on ZBC from, I don't know if you posted anything recent. I haven't seen it, but
no, not too recently.
People can find you on all those channels.
Instagram.
That's a good one. Okay.
Joe Menna Sculptor. Joe Menna _ Sculptor on Instagram.
Okay.
That's my big one.
Joe Menna _ Sculptor. All right. Joe Menna, the legend, everybody. This is the ZBrush podcast. Thanks again for coming on, man. And we're going to go hit the summit, check out some of the presentations. Probably just go buddy up a little bit more.
Thanks,
Talk about surfing. All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll catch you next time.